The most divine Caesar, we should consider equal to the beginning of all things. For when everything was falling into disorder, he restored it once more and gave to the whole world a new aura. Caesar, the common good fortune of all, the beginning of life and vitality. All the cities unanimously adopt the birthday of the divine Caesar as the new beginning of the year. The providence which has regulated our whole existence has brought our life to the climax of perfection in giving to us the Emperor Augustus, who being sent to us and our descendants as Savior, has put an end to war and has set all things in order. And having become God manifest, Caesar has fulfilled all the hopes of earlier times. The birthday of the god Augustus has been for the whole world the beginning of the good news, the gospel.
And it wasn't just his language that was filled with this political poetry, but so were his miracles and healings. His whole life was a masterpiece of political satire. And it doesn't take away from the power of the miracles. It only adds to their dazzle when we understand them. Consider this one. Jesus is passing through a town in the country of the Gerasenes. This was 10 federated cities just east of the Sea of Galilee. And as he passes through, he's passing through an area that was sort of a veteran settlement of sorts. It was one of the military hubs of Rome. And he encounters this man who is possessed. The specific word is that he's occupied by an evil spirit. And that word occupation, Galileans knew well, for their land was occupied by a force that was hard to subdue, as the scriptures say. But this force is occupying this man, and he's possessed with violence. He's beating himself. He's forced by those spirits to live among the dead. And Jesus asks him his name. And the man replies, as you may know, Legion. Legion was another word that they knew well. It was a division of Roman soldiers that scholars say numbered usually around a few thousand. Legion was his name. And those demons, Jesus asked them to go into a swarm of pigs. Now, pigs, you'll remember, were an unclean animal. And when the demons go into the pigs, the word says that they charged into the sea, where they were swallowed up and drowned. No one would have missed the poetry of it, that this legion went into the pigs, just like Pharaoh's army. They charged into the sea, and they were drowned. The story ends by saying the people begged Jesus to leave their area. They got the message. Imperial power is bad for your health, but there is a cure for all of us that have gotten sick.
And so he gives his inaugural address from the words of the prophet Isaiah. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, Jubilee. He pronounces an economic plan that Wall Street would laugh at. His blessing of the poor and the meek have little to offer the markets bare and bull. He gives his political manifesto in the Sermon on the Mount. He will offer a security plan that would never win an election. It'd be laughed out of all the debates. If you want to save your life, you need to give it away. Why would Israel want this man as their governor?
But he didn't come to abandon the law. He came to fulfill it. In fact, he will take that command, the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, to its fulfillment by saying, I tell you, if someone, you've heard it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, but don't even take out their eye. In fact, if someone hurts you, love them back. He teaches us a third way to interact with violence, neither fight nor flight. It's neither violent revolution nor passive compliance. We are taught to overcome evil with good. And he does it most beautifully in the Sermon on the Mount. When you're hit on the cheek, turn the other one. Just like some cultures have a wiping hand and an eating hand, the Jews had a way of hitting in the law. And if you hit someone wrong, you could be expelled from the community for 10 days. And there were different kinds of slaps. And the one that Jesus describes is pretty clearly a slap of a superior to an inferior. Like an abusive husband would hit his wife with a back slap, or a master would hit their slave. And Jesus teaches not to cower down, nor to hit back, but turn the other cheek and look them in the eye. Make sure that they look into your eyes and see love, and it'll become harder and harder for them to hit you.
When somebody makes you walk a mile with them, go with them another. This may seem like a strange scenario, but for first century Jews, it was common to be asked to walk a mile with a soldier. With no Humvees or tanks, soldiers traveled on foot and carried large amounts of gear, so they depended on civilians to carry their supplies. I'm sure there were plenty of zealots or insurgents who would spit in the soldier's face or simply walk away when they were asked to walk a second mile or even their first. But rather, Roman law specified that civilians had to walk only 1 mile. In fact, going a second was an infraction of the military code. It would be simply absurd for a Jew to befriend an occupying soldier and even want to walk that extra mile. But it's a beautiful scene that Jesus is painting here. Imagine a soldier asking for his backpack in return, but the person insists on going with them. Befriending the enemy begins at such high risk to dissolve the power structure. When asked to carry a pack, don't spit in his face, but walk with them even 2 miles instead of 1. Get to know them, not as an enemy, but as a person. Talk with them and woo them into your movement by your love. That is, if they'll break their own law to walk another mile.
And when somebody drags you before the court to sue you for your outer garment, give them your inner garment as well. I'm glad you like that. Only the poor were subject to such abuse. A poor person having nothing at all, by law, could be taken to court and sued for their outer garment. And here Jesus is saying to many people who would have been very familiar with this law, many of them peasants, he says, if someone wants to sue you for your outer garment, then just give them your undies and expose their own greed. Look into the eyes of those tax collectors as they sue you in court and see their poverty and give them your clothes. Look into their eyes and you can say, you can have everything I have, but you can't have my soul. You can't have my dignity. In each of these instances, Jesus is teaching that creative third way of interacting with evil. It's a way that we can see that evil can be opposed without being mirrored, that oppressors can be resisted without being emulated. It's a way of saying we're to love our enemy not just as a strategy, but we're to love our enemy because that's the way God is.
Oh Lord, must I do unto others before they do unto me? Must I arm myself to protect myself from pain and misery? Oh no, that is not the lesson I've learned upon my mother's knee when she told me to do unto others